the final topic of this evening, which is the rise of the influencers. I just want to start by asking, who actually knows who this is? Do I have a raise of hands? Okay. Oh, that's most of you. Well, this is Zoella. She has 8 million subscribers to her YouTube channel, and her most popular videos get over 11 million views, which is a number most broadcasters would be happy with. And I'm just going to have a quick talk to you about what is an influence, or what is influence. And actually, I'm going to look at somebody else's equation for what is influence. This is Malcolm Gladwell in The Tipping Point. So he defines influence as audience reach, which is your number of followers, times brand affinity, which is your expertise and credibility, and the strength of relationship that you have with those followers. So I'm going to use this to identify 4 different types of influencer. If you don't know Zoella, you probably know who this is. The latest person to join Instagram on his 40th birthday, David Beckham, achieved an Instagram record of over 1 million followers in under 24 hours. And so it's probably no surprise that my first type of influencer is the celebrity. But it's interesting because of the access we have to celebrities through social media, the partnerships they're forming with brands often take new directions. So, for instance, sticking with David Beckham, he actually co-owns Haig Club, the whiskey, and was actually involved in in actually producing it, or the product development. So the second part of Malcolm Gladwell's equation, brand affinity, expertise and credibility. Just because you're a celebrity doesn't necessarily mean that you have expertise and credibility. I just want to talk very briefly about Mumsnet. So started 15 years ago, now gets 14 million visits per month. Now, I've seen Carrie Longton talk. She's very protective over her growing community of Mumsnetters. And that's very indicative of the way that she actually works with brands. So it's either more a partnership or actually even market research to help brands understand their audience much better. So I've named the second type of influencer, the trusted expert. So this is the person who's built up their following because of the expertise they have of their sector. So this is a campaign that Exposure, an agency, did for Microsoft Surface 2, the tablet. Their initial insight was that people didn't actually want one. So they got some select group of entrepreneurs on board, and they got them, which they dubbed the renegade professionals, and they filmed their passion to business stories and hosted that on a hub with the Guardian. So obviously another trusted partner. I think what this does is it gave Microsoft not only an awareness and an increase in sales. The campaign was actually incredibly successful, but also it gave the tablet a cultural relevance which it didn't have before. The second type is the brand fan. So this is Converse, and this is a campaign. So Amplify are Converse's UK agency, and obviously turning fans into ambassadors is something that Converse have done from the very beginning, and it's how they've kept their sneakers a part of youth culture. This is the Young and Laced Collective, and this is a group of young creatives that Converse work with to get insight into their latest campaigns or trends or even product development. And in return, Converse help fund them with bursaries. And it's just a much more integral way of actually working with that audience and gives you that more authentic relationship, I guess. So going back to the equation, the final part is strength of relationship with followers. So I went to a talk at Havas Media and saw this lady here who's Deliciously Ella, and she talked about how she built her audience through social media. Her recipes are mostly inspired by her 400,000 followers, and she still, apparently responds to each of her messages in person, although she does employ 2 people now. So my final type of influencer is the blogger and vlogger. And I don't know if any of you've seen it, but actually creative agency Anomaly, they created a film called The Creators Project, which actually looks into the lives of 3 of these bloggers, including Zoello, actually, who's on the cover. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you watch it. It's really insightful into this new kind of celebrity. But this is a project by Weber Shamwick that they worked with Unilever to help them hone all things hair. And they used existing bloggers to use their products to do different hairstyles. But what was really good is they were able to be really reactive. So, for instance, if something was trending, like a hairstyle on the red carpet, the vloggers were able to pick that up. So anyway, I'm going to hand over. That was just a few insights in a bit of an overview into how people are using influencers. But I'm going to hand over to Jackie Lee-Jo, who is Director of Audience and Entertainment at Skype. And since you've been there, I think you've actually introduced Skype's content marketing. And then also Jenny Howard, who's Strategy Director at Sunshine. And over in the last 15 years, Jenny has worked for brands including Coca-Cola, Honda, Nike. And they're going to talk to you about how Skype partnered with Victoria Beckham and other fashion influencers to give the media messaging platform a relevant cultural role.
Hi, everyone. We're the last slot. Oh, is this? Oh, I can't be trusted with the tech. You know, as a marketeer, working at Skype is a great job, really, because Skype is one of those amazing purveyors of storytelling technology. It is one of those brands where you say you work for Skype and you get some amazing stories of how Skype has connected the fabric of people's lives for many years. And so for us, doing things together whenever you're apart is actually a daily truth, and it's whether it's connecting you with Granny, or connecting classrooms around the world together, or enabling NGOs like the Red Cross to get out to the world in times of disaster, or in fact when breaking news hits. You know, when breaking news hits around the world, the use of Skype by broadcasters, both in terms of the CNN level or radio, as with the BBC4, and with digital publishers and media types today like Vice News, use Skype to get their stories out to the world. So our challenge in this instance was to figure out how can we extend this capability into really enabling and connecting with a hyper-connected, digitally oriented generation. And so for us, the challenge was really to put ourselves in their shoes and to demonstrate how our capability can have a role and a relevance in their world. And so for this generation, very much, collaboration is the new form of conversation. And therefore, for us to connect with that, we needed to be able to leverage on the capability that Skype has, whether that is cross-platform or cross-devices, or as a capability enabling files to be shared by dropping it into the chat link, or enabling us to be able to share screens and work on things. We wanted to take that capability and demonstrate its relevance to this generation. So it was very much about demonstrating that. It was really about looking at that amazingness of being able to take an idea and collaborate with people across Osaka and Nairobi and Australia to make it actually happen. And all we needed to do was to provide that spike and that inspiration. So we're going to start by sharing a video of some of the work that we did in order to do it.
When Skype first launched 10 years ago, it was big news. But since then, the technology landscape has changed. Meanwhile, Skype has been quietly evolving. The problem is, it's still mostly known for one thing: calling friends and family overseas. We needed a way to shine a spotlight on Skype's features. Our solution? The Skype Collaboration Project, a new editorial platform designed to inspire and enable young creatives while showcasing what Skype can do. We started with an industry our audience is passionate about: fashion. We built an in-house editorial team to create an ongoing stream of exclusive articles, interviews, and behind-the-scenes videos. We also built Skype's technology into the experience, using it to connect our audience with experts at the heart of the industry, giving fashion students and fans the chance to submit their own questions, which we put to industry insiders. And to top it all off, we teamed up with one of the world's biggest names in fashion, Victoria Beckham. We created a groundbreaking interactive editorial telling her fashion story for the first time, from outsider to icon.
Most evenings I'm curled up in front of Skype in my dressing gown, speaking with my studio in London.
Since its launch, the Skype collaboration project has made headlines around the world, featuring everywhere from E! News and Good Morning America to the front cover of Grazia magazine. The site has attracted a huge global audience who have actively engaged with the project and shared the content on social media. But most importantly, the platform has been backed by the fashion industry. So in 3 short months, we've established a new, credible brand platform, bringing a new audience to Skype while helping to fuel the next generation of creativity.
So that's what we did. What we thought would be quite useful would be just to summarise 5 guiding principles that really helped shape the way that we approached creating something like that, because it was a pretty ambitious undertaking. We worked pretty hard just to sort of underpin the way it came to life and a lot of the foundation of the way that we think about these types of project. So the first one is really the importance of us thinking about moving from category to culture. And by that, what we mean is rather than just starting with what we're comfortable with, actually starting with what our audience are interested in and what they care about. And in this case, we picked fashion because it's an industry that they're really excited about and really want to get into, but also one that is a really interesting tipping point between where the role of technology is playing on it. And also loads of fashion brands, including Victoria Beckham, for example, have Skype right at the heart of their business. So we had a credible role to play. But what was really, really important in how we approached that was that we really wanted to contribute to culture rather than noticing that our audience liked something and thinking, oh, brilliant, how can we steal that and use it for our own purposes? Like, how could we genuinely add value into that and turn it into something that would be really useful for our audience, which would then ultimately have a halo on ourselves. Which brings me to the second point, which is, and this is something that's true of like all the things that we've worked on, is like, how do we find that win-win-win between ourselves as a Skype brand, our audience, and the partners that we worked with, in this instance Victoria Beckham and her team and all of the other fashion labels and brands that contributed. And that's something I think is super easy to say on a slide, like find the thing that means that everybody wins, but like it's incredibly hard to do in real life, of course, because we've all got to sort of work out how everyone genuinely does, and we have to sort of negotiate that. But in this instance, we were genuinely helping our audience to get a foothold in an industry that they really cared about. We were offering fashion labels and brands a massive platform. Skype has 300 million users, so it's a pretty compelling case for publicity. And ultimately, we were, for Skype, showing the products and the features being used authentically and in a new occasion, which was absolutely what we needed to do to help people to reconsider the way that they could use it. You can have this one.
I get the one other slide. So for us, it wasn't just about integrating Skype into the narrative. That was also very important, and we had very authentic and natural ways to weave Skype through a lot of that content. One, because as we know, Victoria's had a long history with us, starting from when she was in LA, dealing with design teams in London and showing out of New York. She really needed it as part of the core of her business. But also, featuring fashion vloggers and bloggers such as Susie Bubble, who really only has 2 basic tools that she uses every day. One is Photoshop, absolutely crucial, and the other one is Skype. So we had that easy and hooked with narrative, but what we wanted to do was to demonstrate the capability of it through the entire platform. So all the editorial that we created for the platform, and there was well over 100 articles, about 164 articles that were produced, used Skype to do the IM interviews or the video call interviews or hosting group video call conversations and discussions. And it's a similar model to partnerships that we apply to things like TED. What we also do is to also look at how we can bring our own blogging community and vlogging community into it. And so we have an advocacy influencer program called the Moment Makers. And these are people that use Skype to teach yoga every day or use Skype to help with their travel vlogging. And so we brought fashion vloggers in from key territories to kind of help also create that content. And then we used Skype to elicit participation. And the one thing that Skype does really well is intimate conversations, chat groups, and sending video messages. And so we had everything from models sending Velfies backstage in London and New York and submitting them through to you enabling, I guess, our 300 or so million audience members to actually ask questions back of some of those key influencers. So we drove through content in a number of ways.
We're nearly there. Last 2 to go. So finally, as we were talking about, what that all meant was essentially what we're saying is like keeping the right company is absolutely critical. We've talked about all the different types of influencers and advocates and the impact it can play. So from Victoria, who's an incredibly well-known, huge global celebrity, and that's what helps you to get on the front cover of Grazia, through to all the sort of industry insiders, makeup artists, bloggers, people like that really helped to give us the kind of the credibility and the authenticity. And because we were doing something that was genuinely seen as helpful and valuable in the industry, those people were kind of willing to contribute to us and give their time for free because they saw the value in what we were doing. So we were camped out on the red carpet at British Fashion Awards. We were behind the scenes at New York Fashion Week, trying to just grab everybody that we could and get them to contribute. And I think that sort of breadth is what managed to give the platform such credibility and such depth. So I just finished finally, so there's 18 seconds to go from up there. It's great, that thing. Spend a lot of time together. So I used this picture. I was supposed to find a big picture of us all together as a team, but I showed this picture. This is Jordan, who we worked with at Skype. And this is him after me and him had spent 6 consecutive meals together, which is longer than I've spent with any family member for some time, trying to map out how this all came together in a communication plan, which is the beautiful blue thing on the wall. And as you can see, he loved it. So you've got to work together when you're doing something like this, because it's not, oh, I know. See, look at us. We're so easy to, don't muddle us up. So collaborate as a team as well as for your project. That is it. Thank you.